comes to messaging, we're really talking a lot about mental availability here. Because if you center your messaging around category entry points, which are the building blocks of mental availability, you can actively influence your brand's sales success. Because mental availability statistically correlates with actual sales performance, meaning that if your advertising can move the needle on CP messaging, it will move the needle on mental availability, which will likely move the needle on sales, which I think is really, really cool. And when it comes to measuring mental availability in a tracking survey, we use the main metric of mental market share, which is calculated across all category entry points that we track and ranges from 0 to 100. So you can interpret it very easily. It's just like a sales market share. And like I said, this metric actually correlates with real world data, meaning that if you track this and see that your ad moves the needle on mental market share, then it will actually have an impact on sales, which is pretty cool. So, from my perspective, this should be one of the new North Star metrics that we use when it comes to developing ads and campaigns. But there's more than this. There are two important drivers for mental market share. The first being how many people have a brand mentally available at all, basically, how many brains your brand reaches, which is called mental penetration. And the second is how broad your brand's mental network is, which is called network size. Now, what's super cool is that we know how to increase mental penetration or network size. You can basically increase mental penetration by reaching more people with your communication and marketing efforts. Again, sophisticated mass marketing, marketing for the 95% who are not in market. And network size is really driven by different messages that you display. Again, thinking about Snickers and showing Snickers after sports practice and on a road trip. And taken together, these metrics really help you to understand messaging effects in a new way, but they can also help you to better understand reach. But when you want to dig really into the nitty gritty of it and understand specific messaging effects on individual CPs, that's where I would recommend you take a look at mental advantage analysis. It's statistically, I would say, somewhat advanced using marginal frequencies in order to control for two factors that influence brand relationships to attributes. First, brand size. Bigger brands are always associated with more CPs or more attributes, right? Think about a household staple brand like Dove for body wash. And secondly, CP prototypicality, with some CPs just being more common than others for a specific category. So if we didn't control for these factors in the analysis, big brands would always win, small brands would always lose, and it would also be very hard for an ad to increase perception on a facet that is already very strong. But with mental advantage analysis, we automatically calculate expected scores for each brand CP combination, meaning that once you have your expected score, your mental advantage or disadvantage, you can use that to benchmark your performance against over time, showing you if a CP was or if an ad was able to increase the CP connection while controlling for all of these other factors, which means that from my perspective, this can be super helpful to very convincingly and surely identify messaging effects. And I think it should be part of your ad tracking toolkit.